Hey there. Okay, so I continue to process and work with this theme of releasing the stigma of the word woo, releasing woo. And I listened recently to a post by my friend Audrey, and I will share the link to it in whatever platform this is on, whether it's a chat or comments or whatever. I'll share the link with that. Where in the first part of the post she talks about time and density versus levity, and how when time is slowing down or feels slow, it's because we're usually more in a dense state of consciousness, and when time is going fast, it's usually because there's more levity and we're experiencing that at a higher state of consciousness. So lower states are slower vibrationally, and higher states are faster vibrationally. So there's that part of the post. But the part that I want to focus on that really was highlighted for me was the discussion that she has on, and I'm in a parking lot, I'm at work, just getting ready to go in for the day, and there's people pulling in front of me, and things distract me a little bit. But so I need to refocus myself here. She talks about re-anchoring in the potential of things, and she talks about labels. And I know that I've posted about this in the past, and the concept of labels and how labels put things in a box and limit the potential of them had been coming back into my awareness just last week, so it was very fitting. And it was a really interesting discussion because it deepens the concept of reframing. So, who was it? Teal Swan, I think, has posted something in YouTube about toxic reframing and being aware of how it can be toxic versus how it's therapeutic, whatever. So, what Audrey talks about is anchor, it's similar to reframing, but instead of reframing, she talks about anchoring in the potential of what is happening. And in her example, she talks about how she's caring for her aging patients. Okay, let's recenter here. Her parents. She's helping with her parents, right? And she's caring for her parents, and the concept of how we can feel like we have to do everything ourselves, or she can re-anchor, and the potential of how, yes, she is caring for her parents, and she's grateful that when she is unable to care for them in any given moment in time, there are others who can also help care for them. Because a lot of times we get stuck in our labels, like this is how can I put this? A lot of times we get stuck in the label, and then we focus so much on that aspect of it that that's what it was. A lot of times we get stuck on the label or the identity. She's speaking a lot of identities as well. We get stuck in that identity that labels us, and then we get stuck in that box of what we think that is, what we perceive that is. And when you think of the other potential of it, then you allow that to expand. And I recommend you listen to her post, because she really does a great job of channeling that message through and explaining it. And so all that being said, the point was, when I'm thinking and processing about the stigma of woo, like, how can I re-anchor that? Instead of calling it a stigma, how can I re-anchor the potential of that concept to expand it at a higher level, at a higher frequency? Because stigma has a density to it, just that word does, and it captures your attention. It gets it into your consciousness and your awareness. But then, and that's great, but then how can we expand on that? So from my perspective, when I am when I am wanting to, when I'm feeling the call to shift the energy around that, it's based on the concept that, so I grew up going through public school, and from my perception, from my perspective, I don't recall ever being taught to. I don't recall ever being taught that the non-physical parts of me are just as important as the physical parts. And working in mental health, in the field of healthcare in general, I've seen so many patients over the years where I honestly believe that if we're taught to embrace the non-physical aspects of us, if we're taught to manage the energy flow through us, if we're taught to, if it's normalized that those are actually things, I think that there would be far less suffering, angst. I really feel that, I wholly believe that we would have more of a healthcare system instead of a sick care system. I really feel that this is the way, part of the way to shift towards healthcare versus sick care, is by getting the message out there that your multidimensional senses, your clairsenses, your energetic anatomy, the parts of us that we don't physically see because our physical anatomy, our physical perceivers are only equipped to perceive on a small spectrum, right? But that doesn't mean that those other things aren't out there. They are. And there's a lot of other ways that we can measure those things, and a lot of other animals and beings that do see things on those scales that they don't see on the scales we see, or the frequencies. So coming back to it, I really think that reanchoring in the potential of how folks just being aware and at some point being taught or shown or normalized that these things are part of us. These things are real. These things aren't things that we should try to ignore. So many. Oh, okay. So of the groups that I'm in with light workers, so many of them have actually been in healthcare or been in corporate America and been in things like this at one point or another, and they've left that to become light workers, way showers, in the capacity of like private practices or their own practices and things like that. And also because of the density of corporations, the density that is in healthcare, and within, for really good reasons, there's a lot of boundaries set up, like with evidence-based practice and things like that. And absolutely, what I really think what we need is to not only have those boundaries for very, very good reasons, but also to, and those boundaries are, I see those boundaries in the highest good of them being the divine masculine structure, the higher masculine structure. And what we also need is the other side of it, of the divine feminine, of recognizing those parts of us that are a little harder to research because of collapsing the wave. There's so much potential there that can't be put into a box. and can't be captured in research in the way that it's necessarily set up to be captured and let's put in a box, I guess. I think you probably understand what I'm saying. I'm working on really trying to get it, what the information coming through me. Sometimes it's hard to put into words. So again, re-anchoring into the potential of how helpful it could be for people to know that those parts of them that are giving them messages, to listen to their body, to listen to the senses that they have, and that it is okay. And there's more than just medicine, pills. Those are all very helpful and very valid. And in addition, it can also be helpful to understand how your chakra system works, how the meridians are helpful with acupuncture and acupressure in all of these things. So re-anchoring in that. What else was there? There's more. There's so much more. I do see a lot of therapies in the mental health world becoming more and more accessible to people, like DBT and CBT, the dialectical behavioral therapies and cognitive behavioral therapies that are really helping shift. Oh, that's where I was coming from. Really helping people to see things from a different perspective than where they may have been grown up in or have some trauma around, and helping shift those and heal those, release those, and EMDR. Those types of therapies I think are super helpful. Yes. Also what's coming to me, is that while re-anchoring in the potential of how helpful it could be for people to have their clairsenses normalized and the use of those senses and the information from their body and listening to their body normalized, there's also the very real situations that people may shut those down for other reasons too. There's trauma that people go through, and when you have gone through situations where you've shut those things down because of trauma responses and stuff, there's definitely you need a support system to help process that and to be able to open back up to those things and to feel safe. I think it could be very helpful if we're taught at a younger age that those things are normal, and as a result there may not be as much trauma too, and that takes cycles of lineage, I think, potentially. There's a lot about collapsing timelines and things like that doesn't have to take lineages. And additionally, not judging anybody's experience as good or bad, because so much growth and expansion in any given life of a person can come from having gone through those things. So you can see there's a lot of layers that really are woven together. They all result in expansion when you have the awareness of your full humanness, which really includes your physical body and your multidimensional senses. I feel like that's captured it. Yeah. Okay. Have a great day, guys. Bye.